That single decision of you aligning your frequency to freedom or fear is literally creating the world so much more than any physical action you take out of fear to try and create a world that you want to create. Oos! So to tag on my previous video about the world begins with you, I think, that might have been a lot of information to take in. It's like, yeah, cool, I know how I play myself from the way I play video games and yada yada yada, but it's like out of all of that, you don't really need to care about any of that. But it's like, there's only this moment, right? There is no past, there is no future. These are all concepts. Or you can say everything is everything at the same time, but for the purposes of our dimension right now, it's like there is only this moment. So from moment to moment, how are you playing yourself? Because if you play yourself in a way that is freeing and fun, then you are playing a game, and you are creating a game where you can have more freedom and fun. Or are you making decisions and playing yourself in a way out of fear? Then you are creating a game in a reality where you are playing out of fear. And it's like every single thing, it's like, even as I make this video, it's like every time I speak, it's like, oh, am I being really loud because it makes me excited, or am I doing it to overcompensate for something because I'm not sure about something? It's like sometimes we feel like we need to do X in order to get Y. Like, oh, we need to have money in order to do this thing and that thing and this thing. But sometimes it's like, you can already do Y. You really can. But you feel more comfortable if you had X first. It's like if I had an ample amount of money, then I can do the thing that I really want to do. But sometimes it's like you're only doing money out of a fear of safety. So you're only trying to make money because you're afraid that if I do the thing I really want to do, I won't have enough money. Then you're making decisions and you're playing your life out of fear, right? Whereas if you just did the thing that you can actually do right now, then you are playing out of excitement. Even though it could be fucking terrifying, the system of choosing freedom versus fear, it's like, always choose freedom if you can, but if there is a fear that is in the way that's preventing you from choosing freedom, then it's like, you gotta stop this fucking train and be like, okay, address the fear. What am I scared of? Why am I being scared? And then it's like you start doing the internal work, you start doing the shadow work, you start kind of analyzing your life like a dream, or you start seeing the reflections in your life, seeing what is being reflected back to you as a way to teach yourself something about yourself that perhaps you need to learn. And then it's like you deal with that fear, you can clear that fear, then you can start re-choosing freedom in the situations where in the past where you were choosing fear. Keep choosing freedom until you can't out of fear, then deal with the fear until that fear is dealt with so you can choose freedom again, in a nutshell. And again, I want to go back to Bashar's definition of abundance. And he says, if you can do what you want to do right now, then you are abundant. You don't necessarily need money or a certain resource. It's like, if you can genuinely do what you want to do, then you are, by definition, abundant. And there's a paradox of you perhaps doing things you don't like or doing things you hate or resent as a way to move into a life that you think you will like. So it's like, oh, I hate this job, but I need to keep working at it to make enough money so that I can live the life I really want to live. But it's like, if every single day you are choosing hate out of freedom, then you're constantly creating a reality of hate and resentment. It's like, yes, I think up to a certain point, you might really need money. And it's like, even though the job might not be so great, the prospect of making money and being safe is so exciting that you're willing to do it, right? But then once you fulfill that fundamental level, but you're still working at a job you hate because maybe you just don't know what to do at that point. Or maybe you do, but you're too afraid to do the thing you actually want to do. Then at that point, you are choosing fear. And again, it's like a paradox. The more you do the job out of fear, the more you will live in fear. It's like one day you just need to bite the bullet and do the thing that makes you feel free. And it's kind of like in Star Wars when Anakin was really afraid that Padme was going to die. So he goes to the dark side and does all of these crazy things that, I don't think he would have done otherwise if he wasn't so afraid, to find a way to make Padme, or his wife, survive. But because he went to the dark side and did all of these crazy things, eventually it made him a little bit crazy and kind of like ragey and just kind of all fucked up. And then because of his exploitations in the dark side and turning him into something of like this paranoid dark creature, because he was doing everything out of fear, that ultimately killed Padme because of what he was doing out of fear. So my point is, the more things you do out of fear, the more likely the world where you are afraid of will actually exist. It's like the more energy you put into your fear, it's like it's just all energy, right? It's like, are you putting freedom? Are you putting energy or into freedom? It's like if you, the more energy you put into the fear world, the more of that world gets actually manifested into your reality. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or put it in another way, sometimes it feels like we have to do things in order to maintain a status quo of like safety so that we can move on to the next thing. It's like we need to do things to maintain our comfort zone in order to move out of our comfort zone. But it's like the more things you do to stay in your comfort zone, the more you'll stay in your comfort zone. But it's like the moment you do the thing that's actually in your discomfort zone, that's the moment you actually move into that zone you ultimately want to move into from doing all of these things in your comfort zone. See, it's like, it's such a paradox. It makes no sense in a way, but that's like, that's the fucking trippy nature of the universe as I have been experiencing. Every time you choose fear, you're choosing to live in a world where you just survive. And that could be okay for you if that's what you prefer. But the moment you choose something out of freedom or love or excitement, that's when you start choosing a world where you thrive, of thrival, not just survival. Don't cling onto a fear of survival when you can actually just thrive. If I had money, I can be free. If I can be free, I can have money. Again, the internal reality creates the external reality. I think it's like if you really were living in your most like high vibrational free state, it's like all the resources that you need, whether it's money or not, again goes back to the definition of abundance, will come to you to sustain this reality that you're putting your energy into. And fuck man, it's like the more I tell you about this stuff, you the viewer or my past self, the more I realize how much I'm actually not doing that and how much I could be doing that. Yet I am terrified, I am afraid. But I wish to you as well as to me that we have the courage to truly choose and walk towards the path of what we really want. And perhaps just from this video alone of me speaking to you and you listening to it, that this would help you take one step towards that reality, more so than if you hadn't watched or if I hadn't spoke in this video. But also I think there is a balance between, being reckless and YOLO, and just doing all these crazy things because you want to, but then like ultimately kind of getting to a point where you are overindulging in everything and you're kind of losing your shit, right? You're just chasing sensation after sensation, dopamine after dopamine, and it could be too much. That's one spectrum, but then on the other side is like you're so afraid to even do anything remotely to where you're excited, where you just like, you're in a shell and you just can't get outside to the world that you want to live. And it's like you want to be somewhere in the middle, of course, like doing what you want to do, but in a balanced way that is, I suppose, sensible and with tact. So to end this video off, I just want you, like this is the main takeaway actionable point that I think we could have, because I need to do this as well. It's like when you are living your life and when you make a decision, like really think about this next time you make a decision. And it could be something very small as well. Am I doing this out of freedom or am I doing this out of fear? Because ultimately that's what's going to create your reality, much more so than you doing things out of fear thinking that it's going to create your freedom. No, it's like it happens right there and then. That internal world, the world begins with you, as above, so below, as within, so without. Right there and then, in that moment, are you choosing freedom or fear? That is ultimately what's going to create your world more than anything else. That single decision of you aligning your frequency to freedom or fear is literally creating the world so much more than any physical action you take out of fear to try and create a world that you want to create. You don't have to use the word freedom. You can use love or excitement or whatever positive word, I suppose, that you want to use. So with that, I want to wish you good luck and the courage to choose freedom. And I hope I see you in that free world that I hope to be in myself.